Hey folks, this is Kelani. With Season 2 of Battle for Azeroth going live next week, we're going to see a whole bunch of changes to the rewards of various in-game systems. Item levels will be increasing almost across the board, but by how much, and what's not included? Let's have a look at the reward changes, which will start on January 22nd. One of the largest changes will be to dungeons and how they reward loot. Everything is getting a pretty huge boost here. 30 item levels have been tacked onto every difficulty. That brings normal dungeons up to 340 item level gear, heroic will start to reward 355 item level, and mythic 0 dungeons will be all the way up at 370 item level. The difficulty of both heroic and mythic dungeons is also going to increase by about 30% to make up for the hike in rewards, but normal dungeons will remain as they are. That means you can hop straight into normal dungeons and clear through them fairly easily on a newly dinged 120 character. They shouldn't be any more difficult whatsoever, and collect 340 gear for your troubles. As soon as you can queue into heroic dungeons, you'll be laughing all the way to the bank with your normal Uldir equivalent gear, and you can just go crazy from there. Naturally, this means that Mythic Plus difficulty will also scale at a similar pace. This time around, the rewards will remain capped at plus 10 keys, instead of going up to plus 15 keys and then back down to 10 keys and then up to 15 keys, so for now, a plus 10 will give you the highest available rewards for the end of dungeon chest, as well as your weekly Mythic Plus cash. Hopefully it remains that way so we don't have to worry about whether we need a 10 this week and a 15 next week and a 10 the next time it resets. All of that's gone for now. All Mythic Plus rewards are increasing by the same 30 item levels as well, so if you were getting 350 gear in your keys before, that same key will now give 380 gear, but doing a plus 5 after the season transition is going to be quite a bit harder when compared to a plus 5 right now. That means the highest eye level you can get from Mythic Plus dungeons themselves has been increased to 400, but for the first week things are going to be a bit restricted. The dev team has decided to cap Mythic Plus rewards for the first week at 385, which you can get from plus 6 dungeons after these changes go live. So no item level 400 gear in Mythic Plus for the first week, but after that, when the Mythic raid opens up, that's when you'll start to see all of those rewards scale up to the plus 10 mark again, and a plus 10 will start rewarding 400 item level gear in the chest. The item level increase also applies to the weekly chest, so if you complete a plus 10 in the first week of Season 2, the following week, when all of the item level restrictions are lifted, you should see an item level 410 piece or higher in your weekly Mythic Plus cash. So it's definitely worth trying to push towards that plus 10 key every week, and as a quick note, the next reset, so January 22nd or 23rd depending on where you're playing, that weekly cash will still reward Season 1 items, which means it will be capped at the current max of 385. That's not the only change for Mythic Plus going into Season 2 though. This is the very last week that we will see the infested affix, so say goodbye to the little kahoonies and hello to all of the wonderful spirits Bonsambi has raised for you, because he's totally still on our side in this whole battle for Azeroth thing. Reaping is a lot of fun, definitely more fun than infested in my opinion, so go get those 10 keys done so you can see the new affix for yourself. But it's not just dungeons that are getting brought up to snuff. There are also some changes to the item level being offered from Warfronts. The Darkshore Warfront currently has two sources of 385 gear, the World Boss and the Once Per Cycle quest for completing the Warfront. Both of these rewards are being increased to item level 400, which brings them up to Heroic Desire Allure level. The basic rewards from Darkshore will also go up 15 item levels, which should make that 355 gear, I believe, for the gear you get from finishing each Warfront, and to compensate the difficulty of the Darkshore Warfront has been increased by about 15%. The item level requirement to enter the Darkshore Warfront has also been increased to 335 from 320. These changes will also apply the next Warfront cycle after the season begins. So if Alliance go into Season 2 with Darkshore already active, the rewards won't increase at all until the Warfront comes around again. So if you're planning on holding off doing your quest or killing the world boss, just know it's not going to make a difference as long as this happens how Blizzard says it's going to happen. The Arathi Warfronts, on the other hand, will remain entirely unchanged. In addition to these changes, Emissary Rewards will also scale up a little bit higher. Weapon and armor rewards from Emissaries will scale up to 385, depending on your current item level. They used to stop at 370, so that's a boost of 15 item levels. All PvP rewards in Season 2 will be 30 item levels higher as well, which includes conquest rewards and weekly chest rewards. End of match rewards will be capped at 385, just like the Mythic Plus dungeon cap, during the first week of the season and will increase the following week. There's also going to be a few new rewards added to the Azeroth armor vendor. In Season 2 you'll be able to purchase 385, 400 and 415 item level tokens for 165, 675 and 1725 residuum respectively. 415 specific items will also be added, but they'll set you back a whopping 7,150 residuum, which I was pretty close when trying to guesstimate these values a few months back, which makes me kind of happy, but that's certainly a lot of residuum to collect. You'll be glad to know that we should be able to collect it quite a bit faster in Season 2 though. A weekly cash for completing a Mythic Plus 4 key will reward about 60 residuum, the same that we were getting from Mythic Plus 10 keys in Season 1. Apparently, Plus 10 keys will have a whopping 625 residuum waiting for you in your weekly cash, so picking up some of these new tokens might not take too long at all. We also have some information about how artifact knowledge is going to work going forward. That's going to pick up again on reset day of the season and continue for 10 weeks. So after January 22nd, you once again see your amulet basically level up itself, and everything will continue to be easier to level, or at least faster to level. Artifact knowledge will pause again after the week of March 26th, but by that point we'll probably be fairly close to the current Heart of Azeroth cap, which is currently set to level 50, so if you manage to get to level 50 in your amulet, you're done for now. No more artifact power to grind. I wonder what excess artifact power will do in that case, but we'll just have to wait and see. The amulet cap will increase once again when we head into future patches, but the Heart of Azeroth will be changing quite a bit when that finally rolls around. I believe that's slated for patch 8.2 at this point, which we won't see on the PTR for some time, so we just have to wait on that one. And then I may as well include this because I know people will want to know for sure. The same seals or reroll tokens will be used in Tazara lore as what we used in Uldir, so you should be stockpiling as many as you can for now, which is 5 in your currency tab, and then leaving 2 on the vendor for the first week, just to give yourself as many chances at loot in this next raid as possible. That covers most of the changes, especially relating to item level increases, but there's a few other things happening as well. Have you ever come across a world quest which has an item that you just aren't interested in because it's not what your spec wants? A healing trinket when you never heal, or an axe when you just want that dagger? Well, that's not changing, sadly, but something along the same vein is. Any rewards which you can't see before a task is completed, so emissaries, faction assaults, that kind of thing, they're going to reward loot for your current spec now, specifically as opposed to random loot for your class. So you shouldn't ever see any more shields from emissaries if you don't want a tank. No more maces on your rogues if you want that other dagger, providing you have the correct loot specialization chosen at any rate. So that's a really nice change and is hugely overdue. I think that was actually a problem back in Legion, so going on 2 years, but they finally fixed it. The reasoning behind not making the same change for world quests is that you can already see the reward before you head out there. If you don't want it, you don't have to do the world quest to find out if it's going to be something you actually want. They also don't want us flipping through every spec to see if the world quests change to something we want, and I have to agree that would get pretty tedious. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on is something I hadn't heard too much about, but I'm not really surprised that it's happening. A recent change made it so you can't disenchant or scrap Azeroth armor to gain residuum if that piece of armor isn't something that your class itself can obtain. So a plate wearer trading something to a cloth wearer and the clothy disenchanting it for residuum, that can't happen anymore. And you might think, well, big deal, why does that matter anyway? It kind of does, but it also really doesn't at the same time. Apparently a lot of high-end guilds were running several split runs, good old split runs, and trading every single piece of Azeroth gear they got to a single character so they could scrap it all for dust. Some of those players are already sitting on over 1,000 residuum, which seems a bit bonkers to me, so Blizzard stepped in and wagged their finger. No, that's terrible behaviour, we won't be having any of this split run nonsense again. So they changed it, so only a clothy gets residuum from cloth, only a leather wearer can get residuum from leather, etc, etc, so they can't trade all of their gear to a single character. That should put those pesky min-maxers in their place. Or not. Instead of giving up on funneling residuum, those guilds are now just running entire raids of clothies or entire raids of leather wearers, and you get the idea. They're even asking friends and followers to come along to help them fill the raid up to maximize their funneling. The weird part is that they seem to be complaining about it. Why can't Blizzard do something to fix this so we don't have to split farm? That's a bit weird to me. If you don't want to split farm, don't do it. I guess at that level you can't really afford to give up any advantage if you really want to push for world first, but they're the ones going to such great lengths to make it happen even when Blizzard tries to make a change to make it less appealing. Either way, the change that they came up with didn't really deter any of the split farming. In fact, it might have made things worse, but that only affects a very small amount of players at the tippy top, so oh well? With that being said, I am really looking forward to seeing how this world first race turns out. Having a live stream of the whole thing is way better than just hearing when a boss dies every few hours. But that's all of the news I have for the changes coming in Season 2, and what I think you should know going into next week. With the new raid opening up, a little bit more story content, and the new Mythic Plus affix, hopefully we should stay busy for a little while until patch 815 comes around. What do you think of older rewards scaling in item level to stay relevant with the new raid tiers? Dungeons are being bumped up quite a lot, Mythic Plus especially, and even Warfronts will reward even better gear. Is scaling so many rewards good for the game, or does it trivialize what we've done so far a little too much? Leave all your thoughts in the comment section below. A big thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon. You can see their names floating by on screen. If you want to join these lovely guys and gals, you can find a link in the description below. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave, and if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always I will see you next time.